Drafting the Magic features the thoughts and opinions expressed by Christian Ilten, Erik Pessolano, and today's guest, and do not in any way reflect the views or opinions of the Walt Disney Company or any of its subsidiaries.
Well, I don't know what to do anymore. I'm down 4, and I've got to figure out a way to get back to within 3, because we only have a handful of shows left, and I really don't want to end the season behind by too much. I can deal with 1 or 2, but I don't want to be down 4 or 5.
Last week, you lost your Fantasyland Attractions episode, the one that you said if you lose, you'll get some comments. I'm sure you got those this past week, but let me tell you, hopefully we don't have any type of bad comments this week, because we are talking about the holidays and we are trying to get everybody in the spirit. Do you hear the jingle bells in the background? I don't know if you can hear them. I certainly can't. But there's jingle bells in the air, Erik, despite there being a pandemic. And we are talking about the holiday experiences at the Disneyland Resort.
Maybe we can hire a sound guy to drop in some sound effects later on down the line. But for now, we're talking about holiday experiences, like you said. I'm very excited. There's not a whole lot of people that I've met who've been to Disneyland who haven't said that the holiday season isn't their favorite. That was a lot of double negatives, but you know what I'm trying to get at. Everybody loves the holiday time at the Disneyland Resort, from the attraction overlays to the decorations to all the food and beverage offerings. It's definitely my favorite time of the year. I think it's yours too. We're going to have a lot of fun on the show today.
We really are. I'm going to get hungry at some point because of the things we are talking about. I'm going to get sad at some point because we don't get to see most of the things we are going to talk about. But the holidays are always a great time, and it's time to bring some holiday cheer to Drafting the Magic. And Erik, our guest judge today, is definitely not a Grinch. He knows exactly what he is talking about, too. An Angels broadcaster himself, Trent Rush, joining Drafting the Magic. Trent, how you doing?
I'm doing fabulous. I'm excited to be here. This is one of my favorite podcasts. I love listening to it. It makes me miss Disneyland, like beyond what you guys could possibly understand. Actually, that probably isn't true. I know you guys miss it a lot too, but I miss it so much. And at least we get to spend a little time here talking about the good old days, I guess.
You know what was fun for me was I had you on one of my other shows a few weeks ago, and you were telling me you listened to this and said, man, I love Disney. This is such a great thing. And it took me aback. I didn't know how big of a Disney guy you were. And we talked with Christian. It was, we got to get you on here. So I have to ask, what makes you qualified to be a judge on Drafting the Magic here today?
All right, you're talking about somebody that lived in Southern California, Anaheim to be specific. I moved to Orange 2 years ago. But until then, I lived in Anaheim my entire life. I've been a Disney pass holder for 25 years. I've gone forever. Even when I went to Chapman University, I would duck out of class. Don't tell my parents. I would duck out of class to go run off to Disneyland, and we would do that kind of thing. I love the Disney hit and run. I see, the way I see Disney is like as a true Southern California local. I'm not a Disney fanatic. My whole house isn't decorated and everything Disney. I don't wear a lot of Disney clothes. However, I enjoy my experience at the park 2 to 3 hours at a time. I like to hit a little bit of everything, and I would go like 3 or 4 times a week when time permitted.
It's always a good time, and one of the best times of year, I think you know this, Trent, is the holiday time, and that's what we're talking about today, holiday experiences at the Disneyland Resort. Without giving us too much info that might sway the way we vote, are there any holiday memories you can think back to, even when you were a kid, going to Disneyland?
Well, a lot of positive memories just in the whole season build-up. I mean, for me, once the Disney decorations started and the Christmas stuff started happening at Disneyland, that was the unofficial start of Christmas season for me. So you could start feeling it. I would always complain that it was too early, but it's okay. How can you complain about that? I mean, it's the best time of year at Disneyland, bar none for me. I love that time of year. And you just kind of feel that Disney magic in a different way at Christmas time, and you can't help but feel it. I will tell you on the negative side, I have been there and done the 15-hour day that week between Christmas and New Year's that I will never do again. However, when I go like late November, early December, the whole family would go. Just incredible experiences that we all can cherish, and because we've all had something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I'm kind of in the same ship. When those decorations start to go up overnight, pretty much as soon as Halloween is over, you knew that it was going to be the holiday season and everything was going to be the best time of year at the Disneyland Resort. Christian, we got a draft to get to, buddy.
Yeah, we do. And we got to go over the rules as always. First rule, no matter what on Drafting the Magic, we need to have experienced it. We can't just have seen it on TV. We actually have to have seen whatever the experience is, or tasted it, or whatever it is. We can't just look at it through the glass. We actually have to have experienced it. But the big rule this time, Eric, is that we need to include everything.
Yeah, we do. We're going to go to all the regions of the Disneyland Resort. So today, for holiday experiences, you must, at any time in the draft, it doesn't matter when, we're not going to limit it to when it needs to be selected, but you have to take one from Disneyland Park, one from Disney California Adventure, and one from either Downtown Disney or the hotels of the Disneyland Resort. One from either of those two will satisfy that third box that needs to be checked.
I like that rule. I think it is important to encompass the entire resort, because we could talk about Disneyland all day or talk about California Adventure, but everything really does get included because Downtown Disney and the hotels do such a superb job with the holidays as well. All right, Eric, it is your first pick this time, so pick away.
I tried to rank my list like we say we do every time we have the show. I couldn't rank them. I just had to write down everything I've done, and then I'm just going to kind of pluck away because I almost love all of these things equally. And I want to make sure that it's a well-rounded experience. I don't want to take all attractions. I don't want to take all food locations. You gotta mix it up a little bit. So with that being said, I am going to take, with my first pick, my new favorite thing at the Disneyland Resort for the holiday season, and that's Festival of Holidays at Disney California Adventure. You have all the kiosks, which have food and beverage influence from all the different holidays around the world. It's not just centered around Christmas. It's not just centered around Hanukkah or Kwanzaa. It's around all of the different holidays celebrated. You can get a little taste of everything. They have little events, too, where you can hear the music that are dedicated to those holidays themselves. I got to go Festival of Holidays at number one for me. It's just my favorite thing.
It's one of the coolest, newer things that the Disneyland Resort does. The soundtrack in that area is absolutely superb. I mean, I still have one of those Hanukkah songs stuck in my head from all the years that I worked every single day in the area. So it's a good pick. Trent, what do you think of Eric's first pick?
I like the pick because for me, and I love that you went California Adventure first, I don't think that there's a ton in California Adventure when you're thinking about the great holiday time activities. So to go that route this early, I think it was a really good pick.
I think it's the best enhancer that park has. You're right. There isn't a ton to do. You can almost get through that entire park in half a day and then spend the rest of your time over at Disneyland. But when it's the holiday season and you have all those different experiences and the flavors of the holidays as it is, I think that's why I had to go with it number one. It is the best park enhancer, and I've got a soft spot in my heart for DCA also.
Yeah, you know I have a soft spot in DCA as well, so that hurts me a little bit, but it's all right. I still feel confident going into my first pick, and my first pick, I am not starting in Disney California Adventure. I am going across the Esplanade over to Disneyland, and I am starting with what is easily my favorite fireworks show all year. It's Believe in Holiday Magic. It's my favorite thing every single year. I mean, the snow at the end, they do a great job including a bunch of different holidays in the show. It's the best. It goes number one.
Yeah, I think that's a great pick. You want to talk about maybe something that really gets you into the spirit, right? Believe in Holiday Magic, one of the better fireworks presentations the resort has. I'm not a big fireworks guy, but I will stop once a year, right, to go and believe in holiday magic at minimum. Sometimes it's crowded, like Trent was talking about, between those weeks there where there's a gazillion people running around, but at least once I'm going to stop and watch it. Nice pick there at number 1, pal.
The way that this thing's going, I wanted to kind of do it like a prize fight, going round by round. I want to see this thing holistically, because in round 1, it's an honest draw for me, because I would say that Erik's pick strategy-wise might make more sense going the California adventure route. I'm a big food guy, so I get why that round would make a lot of sense. But Disney is synonymous with great fireworks, and that is that you can see it from all over, and we all have our spots. Like, you can watch from the parking structure and maybe around, the Disneyland Resort, different areas. But when you're actually on Main Street, experiencing that how it's intended with the music and everything else, that is such an intense, overwhelming experience. It is really hard to beat that. And I agree, Christian. I think that's the best fireworks show that Disneyland does.
I would just like to point out that I'm so glad that after round 1, I am not behind the 8 ball, probably for the first time in the last 5 to 8 shows.
Okay. My gosh.
Let's move on to round number 2. I am going to go the attraction route this time, and there's really 2 major ones that can be selected from at this point, right? There's no 2 ways about it. It's between Haunted Mansion, it's between It's a Small World. Those 2 are the ones that stand out during the holiday season. I took Haunted Mansion Holiday during our Halloween show, a couple months ago, and I am not going to do that this time. I'm taking It's a Small World Holiday at number 2. This might be the greatest attraction overlay the entire resort has on an annual basis. I think it's better than Haunted Mansion Holiday. I am a Haunted Mansion fan at heart, through and through, from start to finish. It's my favorite attraction, but overlay-wise, It's a Small World Holiday. First of all, you get the classic attraction itself laid over with the holiday music, and to watch, and I think I mentioned this before on the show, I was fortunate enough to be a leader in Fantasyland for a short period of time. But even before that, because I wasn't there during the holiday season, but going in as a guest and watching people run back there to It's a Small World, and even at night to watch the lighting ceremony on the facade every evening, sometimes they didn't even have to go on the ride. They just wanted to see that lighting ceremony. But more times than not, they were jumping on the boats to go on the happiest cruise that ever sailed. But during the holiday time, it's just so much more magical. And to see the kids' faces light up when they get on the boat during the holiday season, I had to take it at number 2.
I kind of assumed you were going to do that. Trent, what do you think of It's a Small World, the holiday version?
Yeah, I totally get where you're coming from, and it is a great attraction. For me, the only time I ever want to go on It's a Small World is during the holiday season when it has that overlay. I won't go on it otherwise. It was a good pick. I like the pick. I don't know that you necessarily had to go an attraction in these 5 that you guys are drafting here, but because you went that route, it is. I think I agree with you. I do like it better than the Haunted Mansion, because for me, Haunted Mansion falls a little bit more on the Halloween side than it does on the Christmas side, though it still would be a good pick. But I get where you're coming from. It's a B+ pick.
Hey, I'm going to take that after the last few shows. I'll tell you what, that's a massive improvement.
Oh my goodness. I think it's a good pick. It is part of the holidays at Disneyland. My next pick, and this is not only a strategic pick, but I think it's also a very underrated pick, even though I'm only taking it second. It could go first in any other draft. And I would not usually say that looking at a building is an experience, but looking at a building that Disney chefs and pastry workers have worked on for hours and hours on end, going into Disney's Grand Californian Hotel and Spa and seeing that gingerbread house inside the lobby is one of the coolest experiences. They always hide the little hidden Mickeys, so they always make it an adventure to go and look for things. It is amazing. It shows off how great Disney is. Even if you're not going on rides, you can still enjoy magic in a completely different way. Trent, what do you think of Disney's Grand Californian Hotel and Spa's giant gingerbread cookie house?
I will admit, and I underestimated you guys, because I came on this podcast thinking somebody might not say this. This is number one for me. And it's got sentimental value. I remember taking my grandparents, their final trip to Disneyland was to be in the lobby of the Grand Californian. You have the piano happening. You have Santa there. That's the best hot chocolate in the park. The gingerbread cookies are amazing. That gingerbread house is just incredible. You feel all the warmth and joy that is supposed to come with the season in that lobby. Christian, this is an A+ pick. This would have been my number one overall. You cannot top what you just did right there.
Oh, well, that makes me feel better for the rest of the draft, but still, I like it. Erik, what do you think of that giant house over there?
First of all, I love it. The most restraint I have to show all year is not eating that thing, which I know there's stuff on it that probably wouldn't allow you to eat it, but it is real food. I'm sure they just put stuff on it to make it a little bit more shiny. But I was stunned that you went this direction, and maybe even more stunned that Trent said this was his number one. So I don't know what the heck to do the rest of the way here, but I do like going in there and checking it out once it gets set up. So nice pick, especially since it won the judge over.
All right, I'm happy with that. Yeah, Trent.
I think part of the reason why it was such a big pick because I feel like it's an under the radar kind of pick. I feel like a lot of people miss it. That's why I really appreciated the value of this. I think this round goes to Christian. There are other elements in the Disney Resort, I will say, that are more highly ranked, I think, overall. But for a value pick and in terms of not a whole lot of people knowing about it, well done, Christian. Well done.
I'll take it. Let's move to round 3.
I feel like I have to take this at round 3, and actually this is what I thought you were going to take at number 2, so I feel good about it. The explanation from Trent about the gingerbread house doesn't make me feel great, but I think from my strategic standpoint, I took a risk, or at least I thought I was, and I'm going to get this pick, and I'm excited about it. It's the one parade that I really thought you were going to go out there and grab, and I'm taking A Christmas Fantasy at number 3. This thing gets filmed every year, this year notwithstanding, of course, with everything going on, but it gets its own television special, for crying out loud. What other Disney parade has it? Every Christmas morning for me, it's turning on ABC. Yes, I'm mentioning names now, and watching that parade just before the NBA tips off. You know, I'm a sports guy, but I make sure I get that parade in, at least part of it, before first tip-off comes because of Christmas Fantasy. And we know this going back a few shows ago, when I'd mentioned I don't watch a lot of parades, but A Christmas Fantasy will stop me in my tracks every time. And that really ushers in the season for me at the Disneyland Resort.
That's a really good pick.
Erik, you hit home right there. Because remember the old VHS tapes of the old Disney movies you used to watch, those 90s VHS tapes that you'd pop on? One of the Christmas shows had the end, it had the parade on there. The sentimental value, I remember being a little kid being like, Mom, Dad, please take me to Disneyland. I got to see this parade. I really like that pick. Between the nutcrackers and Santa and everything that was there, the reindeer, the iconic reindeer, can't beat it.
Gotta love the drummer boys and everything, or the trumpeters, not drums, I guess. But oh my gosh, good stuff in that parade. One of my favorites. But seeing that you've only seen 4 parades in your life, Erik, I figured I'd let you have that one.
Trent mentioned it. That VHS tape is actually in my bedroom as we speak. I still have that. And I can't remember. I think it's something holiday fun or I can't remember exactly what it's called, but I got it. And I think I might have to break it out this year. How I'm going to watch it, I have no idea. But I'll try to figure it out. Yeah,
you got to find somebody with a VCR, but that'll be fine. Oh, that's a good third pick, which means I'm going to go into my third round not being able to take A Christmas Fantasy, which I thought I could have held on a little longer. Here we are. I am going to go to California Adventure. Because I do need to round that out. And my Disney California Adventure pick is going to be somewhat of a parade, but it's more of a show that stops over there in the Paradise Park, Gardens Park area. It's the Viva Navidad show. Why? Just because the 3 caballeros are there, and that's all I need to enjoy a good time. You got Donald, Jose, and Panchito just singing along, having a great time. It's one of the most exciting shows they do. So Viva Navidad, going 3.
Donald's my favorite character of all time in Disney. So well done there with that pick. I have been over there for Viva Navidad a few times. I enjoy it. I think it's great. They do a lot of great work over there in that Paradise Gardens Park corner
Mm-hmm.
that not a lot of people know about. It feels like a pass-through area, but if you stop and smell the roses, I think you're going to have a good time. Trent, what do you think about Viva Navidad?
Yeah, I think that's a good underdog pick. And look, here's the thing about Christmas time: you can't go wrong. There's so many great things, kind of like what you mentioned, Erik, a few minutes ago. I like the pick. I think it's really tough to go up against the classic traditional parade. Christian, you're not going to win this round because of what you had to go up against. But still, I would say a solid pick. I thought you were going down the World of Color route, which led to a very heated argument between my wife and I earlier today. When I told her I was doing this, we were actually debating the Christmas time World of Color versus the Christmas time traditional parade at Disneyland. And it was an intense debate. I leaned the direction of the parade, but she didn't see it that way, and it was fun to hash that out. So I thought you were going the World of Color route, but either way, a good pick. But you're not going to win this round from that parade.
As someone who got the pleasure of working that World of Color show twice a night for an entire season, it's not going to be on my list.
All right, so I guess the point there goes to Trent then.
Yeah, okay. I guess so.
That won't cause any issues later. All right, let's move on to round 4. Christian, you mentioned it. You have satisfied your rule, correct?
Yeah.
I think you've taken one from each. Yeah, I have not yet. I need to satisfy my rule also, and I think I'm going to do it right now. One of the biggest benefits of celebrating the holiday season in Southern California is it doesn't get all that terribly cold. So you can still enjoy some ice cream. And Salt and Straw in the downtown Disney district has seasonal offerings when it comes to ice cream. And in the holiday season, look, they've got a bunch of things. They've got the cocoa and peppermint. My favorite, however, and yeah, I'm going to say it on this podcast, it's the spiked eggnog ice cream. If you haven't had it, go try it. But in its totality, Salt and Straw is my selection just because they have new offerings. Not a whole lot of people know that they do that seasonally, and it's in the downtown Disney district. And, in a regular year, you'd be able to grab it and then go watch A Christmas Fantasy, or you could go watch the fireworks at night. It does get cold around here occasionally, but not all the time and not during the day. And that's the perfect time to go watch that A Christmas Fantasy parade. So my last two picks kind of going hand in hand. I'll take Salt and Straw and their holiday season offerings at number 4.
That is I believe that's the second time you've taken Salt and Straw on this show, if I remember right. Trent, what do you think of Erik going to downtown Disney for some dessert during the holidays?
I like the Salt and Straw. I like that gets you passing all the rules here. So I get why you made that pick. Salt and Straw is a great choice because I tell you, when we, when me and Mrs. Rush are walking through downtown Disney, it's always a debate. Okay, are we going to have the hot chocolate tonight, or are we going to go get the Salt and Straw tonight? And it's always trying to figure out one of those. Now, I always vote for both. I generally get overruled, but I always vote for both. Pro tip at Salt and Straw: that you can do 2 different flavors. So if you and your special someone are together there and you're trying to pick flavors, you can't decide, they'll split them for you in the same cup. That'll save you a little bit of dough. And I will get like the take home pint sometimes that used to satisfy the validation and parking, to do the 3-hour parking in downtown Disney. I know things are a little different now, but they used to validate. That was always a big deal for me in the transition time. I had the pass that was good 50 weeks out of the year, but the 2 weeks that it wasn't, that came in clutch a few times for me.
I'm just curious, Trent, when is your Disney podcast going to debut? That with travel tips.
Let's go. I am all for that. Let's go. Maybe we can come back in a few months and do this again. We'll do travel tips.
Hey, I like that. I was going to say a professional Major League Baseball broadcaster, but also knows how to save some money around the Disneyland Resort, man. That's the value pick right there, is Trent Rush. Anyway, all right, so that's a good 4th round pick. Again, I've always said it. Salt and Straw is good, but don't put crickets or anything in my ice cream, man. That's not my style. So it's just not my thing. But what is my thing is getting up early to go and do something at Disney, right? It's that you got to wake up at 6 a.m. to get there early. And one of the coolest experiences that one can do is get out on the street, and you're either going to Candy Palace or Trolley Treats inside Disney California Adventure and waiting for one of those hand-pulled candy canes. I'll be honest, peppermint's not my thing, but I have tried it, so that makes it eligible for this list. My fiance and I always go out there. We're bummed they're not doing it this year, but let me tell you, folks, if you've never had a fresh hand-pulled candy cane, it is something to behold.
Yeah, this is one of the underrated traditions of the Disneyland Resort. And as you saw, I just showed you guys both my phone. I had typed in that you were going to pick that before you actually picked that, because I knew you were going to go that route. But again, you want to talk about tradition? This certainly is one of them. Trent, you ever had a handmade candy cane?
I have, and boy, they are tough to get. I got it one time before it kind of became like really in vogue to do that. This is like a big Disney insiders kind of a pick right there. Like pass holders are in on this, but I don't know that everybody else is. I like the pick. This is another tough one for me. I would say, generally speaking, I'm going to spend a lot more time at Salt and Straw. Again, I've only had the hand-pulled candy cane one time before it got super popular. I don't know that I am willing to get up at 6 a.m, like you're saying, to be the first one in the park to get that. For me, it's a little bit of ease and convenience kind of factors in here. But if you are that dedicated, and I'm going to assume that listeners of this podcast are, then you'll have to understand why that candy cane is so important. And I think I'm going to give the nod in round 4 to Christian.
I'll take that. The only issue I have is that we don't go round by round, and that all these nods mean absolutely nothing to the final decision that you're going to make. But you know what? I'm going to take the victory in that. Thank you.
Just because you win the battle doesn't mean you got the war, Christian.
Exactly.
Just keep that in mind.
Well, Christian taking a point. What else is new? Keep that trend going, apparently. All right, let's move on to the final round. Now, we know that based on the picks that I've made so far, I'm more of a traditionalist than anything. I have picked a couple of things that haven't been around. Salt and Straw and Festival of Holidays aren't exactly traditions. Small World Holiday and A Christmas Fantasy are. So I would be remiss if I did not make my list lean traditional. And with my final pick, and this one is a tough one, because you go on vacation at Disney during the holiday season and you want to send the perfect holiday card to your family, you've got to decide, where are we taking a photo? Is it going to be in front of Sleeping Beauty Castle? Is it going to be in front of the Christmas tree in Town Square? Those seem, I know I'm saying traditional. When I say traditional, I mean taking the photo and sending it to your family, not necessarily where you take it. Christian, I'm taking a few steps away from the gingerbread house in Grand Californian and taking the Christmas tree inside the lobby of the Grand Californian Hotel. I think the setting in the lobby, it's themed to the redwoods of California. Very outdoorsy. There's a giant fireplace right next to where the tree is. Don't worry, it's safe. Well, one year it wasn't safe, but from now going forward, it is safe. But that Christmas tree and how grandiose it is in that lobby, when you walk in to that lobby during the holiday season, it's the first thing you notice. When you come around any of the corners entering that lobby, and it almost fills the entire space of the lobby, and you can take your family picture right there and kind of get that fireplace in the background if you take it at the perfect angle. And I think that's the perfect holiday family photo while everybody's in the parks trying to jostle for position in front of the castle or in front of the Christmas trees in Buena Vista Street and in Town Square. You got to go to Grand Californian Hotel. It's a lot more quiet. It's a lot more quaint, and it really feels very homey and more in tune with the Christmas spirit. I'm taking that with my 5th and final pick.
That's a good one. It's probably my favorite tree at the resort too, because you're right, it's not that huge line. The you still have that gingerbread smell, like Trent was saying, the best hot cocoa in the world right around the corner. It's a good spot. Trent, what do you think?
That is one spectacular tree, and there's no denying that. I'm going to reserve judgment though until I hear what Christian has to say, because I think there's one thing that's really glaring that nobody's said yet. I'm curious if Christian's going to say it here.
Oh boy, I am horrified now whether I'm actually going to say it or not. And it's glaring, he said. See, I'm not thinking of anything that would be glaring, so I guess I'm not. Where I'm going to go is a thing that I think is normal, but you need to go over there. You need to grab just a gingerbread cookie. Wherever you're doing it, Disney's baked goods are amazing. You've got to go get a gingerbread cookie as my final pick. It's probably not what Trent was thinking, so you probably just won the last round, but I'm a sucker for gingerbread cookies, so I'm going gingerbread cookies as my 5th pick to round out the draft.
Wow. It's a great cookie. It's soft. It's delicious. And I'm not a big ginger. Like, I don't like ginger snaps. I'm not like, it's not overly gingery. It's really, really a good cookie. That was not what I was thinking though, Christian. I am a little surprised here.
All right, Erik, what do you think of the gingerbread cookies before we get to the wrap here?
I'm not a big gingerbread person. The reason I would eat the gingerbread house itself is because of all the frosting and everything else they put on there. The gingerbread is a nice cracker for me to to hold everything else. I'm not a big gingerbread guy. You went with 2 gingerbread picks.
Yeah,
How about that? Wow,
it's a staple for me.
Yeah, apparently I like the gall on you to go that direction. All right, well, good on you. I'll never argue a food pick.
All right, Trent, clearly there was obviously at least one thing, but can you tell us a list at all, or even just the one thing that you would put on your list that was not on ours?
I really expected somebody to say, like, just the maybe this didn't count as a category, but just the walking down Main Street and the decor that comes with that is to me quintessential Disney. That is it at Christmas time. You don't have to go on a single attraction. You walk through the gates, you walk down Main Street, you can do a loop in front of the castle, go around Walt and head back out and be completely satisfied by just soaking in that experience of Main Street. So I really thought somebody was going to go that route. But there were some other things that kind of like led towards that. Maybe decorations didn't count as a category, but I would have thought somebody would have said that.
Trent brings up a good point, and we've talked about it before. I think Disneyland Resort decorations are going to be its own show. So I think we both were able to shy away from that on this one. But you are 100% correct. That you could walk down Main Street during Christmas time, not go on a single attraction, and leave satisfied and really feel like you are in the season.
That is one of the best times. That and even going over to California Adventure Side, right? The Buena Vista Street and how they decorate it. You can actually do that now, thanks to Buena Vista Street being extended as part of Downtown Disney. So I don't know if that would have counted as a Downtown Disney pick technically. Anyway, that's not important. That's another fight for another day. But you're spot on. The decor absolutely should have been taken. But yeah, like Erik said, we might try to make another whole show out of that. All right, Erik, it's time to wrap this thing up, which means it's time to do the rundown. Let's do the recap of our lists.
All right, let's take a look at the lists. As usual, I'll start with myself, taking the Festival of Holidays at DCA, number 1. At number 2, It's a Small World Holiday in Disneyland Park, A Christmas Fantasy Parade at number 3, Salt and Straw's Holiday Offerings in the Downtown Disney District, and taking a family photo by the Christmas tree in the Grand Californian Hotel lobby. For Christian, he took to the skies with his first pick, Believe in Holiday Magic at Disneyland Park, the Gingerbread House in the lobby at the Grand Californian Hotel, Viva Navidad in Disney California Adventure, the hand-pulled candy canes, and the gingerbread cookie at number 5. Mr. Trent Rush, who is the winner of the holiday episode of Drafting the Magic?
Well, when I was going round by round, I think it ended up being 2-2, and because there was with one push. So I think it was really even. I think that if you're a Disney pass holder and you go all the time and you want to get your taste, I lean a little bit towards Christian. But the reason why he is not the winner, if you are experiencing Disney for the first time, or you're back for the first time in 5-10 years, and you want to enjoy the overall full experience of the Disneyland Resort at Christmas time, Erik hit on everything. I mean, across the board, it was a really, like, round by round, I wasn't really sure, but overall, for me, clearly, Erik encompassed everything that you could want in a Christmas time experience at Disneyland.
First of all, Trent, thank you so much for getting me off the schneid, as Chris Berman would say. I needed the victory to bring it to back within 3. But to your point, I hadn't really thought about it. I track the list that we pick as we go along, and there was one point where I stopped and looked at it and said, if I was the guest judge, who would I pick? And I couldn't choose because they were so tight. But the difference was, and you pointed it out, the difference between being an annual pass holder and somebody going all the time and somebody who has never been before. And when you look at it that way, of course I enjoy the victory, but looking at it that way, I think you did hit the nail on the head there. Christian, I'm sorry I'm not sorry I finally took you down after however many weeks. It's been a month and a half, it feels like. But how do you feel about that assessment about those two lists?
I don't like it, but that's just me. No, I will say this: if I'm recommending somebody to go to Disneyland for the first time, odds are I'm not telling them to wake up at 4 a.m. to make sure they can get one of those candy canes that they for some reason only make like 12 of every day. But I understand it's a good thought, and it's kind of the point of this show. So Trent was in the right here, I guess.
I'm just thinking, if you get one day at Disneyland, what do you want to hit in that one day? And I think Erik really just had everything there. That I'm not getting goosebumps thinking about that. It's like I'm missing it so much. What I would do for one day to go to Disneyland and get to experience that would be, I want to do all these things. You guys talked about this at the start of the show. Like, you can't go wrong with any of these things. I think that's why Christmas time at Disneyland is hands down the best of any season that there is. They do it so well, and the attention to detail, like everything with Disney, but particularly at Christmas time, it's amazing. And there's, there have been times I've missed Disneyland in the summertime. Yeah, I'd like to go. Right now, man, what I would do to spend a day at the park.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And, unfortunately, probably going to have to wait till early November of 2021, but we're going to be thinking about all these experiences as we go along and try to get that year behind us as well, so we can get back to the Christmas season over at the Disneyland Resort. Trent, thank you so much for joining us here today. And as with the holiday season, angels are a big part of that. So keep up that good work and letting us know what's going on with the baseball team down the street here, because everybody's on the edge of their seat and we got a long off season ahead of us.
We'll keep you posted. But I just want to say both to you, Erik, and to Christian, for having me on the show. Thank you so much. I probably don't fit the mold for most of the guests you have on this show, but as just a Southern California resident, a local that enjoys Disneyland like so many people in this area do, I appreciate you having me on the show. I think you guys really do a great job here on this podcast, and I know that listeners of this podcast understand and appreciate that. That's why they're tuning in every single week. Keep it up. If there's anything I ever do to help you guys, I'd be happy to do that. But again, thank you for having me, and best of luck the rest of the way.
Well, thank you, sir, and apologize to the missus for me for not picking World of Color Winter Dreams to be on any of our lists.
Yeah, no, she'll figure that out later. Christian, thank you. I needed that.
Well, you're welcome. Thank you, sir. We will talk to you soon.
We'll see you. Take care, guys.
Boy, how great was Trent today. And I'm not just saying that because he gave me a much needed victory. I just mean just by his analysis, and boy, that energy. That guy's a ball of energy. Love talking to him. He's a good friend of both of ours, and glad he was able to do this today. And I think it's got me amped up now for the holiday season even more than I was before we started this show today. Yeah,
Trent was awesome. He's been awesome every single time I've ever worked with him. I remember way back in the day working with him, but gosh, he does such a great job for Angels Radio. And now he's, of course, done such a great job with drafting the Magic. And it was, again, I'm bummed because I lost. I know. Yeah, here we go. It's over. My winning streak's over again. But that was a great episode, and he was a great judge.
Yeah, a real tight episode. We talked about it, looking at the list as we were going along. I'm not sure which way I would have leaned, but then when Trent explained that, when you're looking at somebody who goes all the time versus someone who's never been, that my list fits that mold better, I would agree with that. But, a lot of the judges that we have that come on the show, a lot of them have big publications and are well-known. Trent, certainly one of them, but not known for his Disney background, known for his sports background. And sometimes you just need a person who is an annual pass holder who just goes, like he said, just for those couple hours at a time to experience the little things that you might miss. And those are the exact type of people who we want judging the show, who can tell somebody who's never been before what to look out for. Well, and I loved how he was like, why weren't the decorations on the list? Like, that's a true fan going, wait a second, you guys missed something. Well, yeah, and I'll say it. I mean, we didn't really decide we weren't going to do those. We are going to try to do another show that is decorations, but
we didn't really say, hey, don't choose that. And boy, he called us out because there's some great decorations just in general at the Disneyland Resort during this time of year.
And we deserve it. We deserved every bit of that criticism.
Absolutely. I'm not blaming him at all.
But hey, look, the underlying fact here is it's 10-7. I've got to get myself on a streak. We've only got a few more episodes this season. I'm going to try to get as close to you as I possibly can before the season finale.
You could tie it. You could tie it to end the year because we're going to do 20 for this season. It's 10-7. If you rattle off a couple more in a row, oh my gosh, can you how much us would that be if the season officially tied at the end of it?
Settled absolutely nothing in season 1. Everybody had a win streak of the same amount and, no lead greater than 4 or whatever. So
stunning.
It would be so us of us to pull something like that off. But depends on how the judges see it. And we got 3 topics left.
We do have 3 topics left. Next week, a topic of your choosing. Do you have any idea where we're going? Are you going to give the people any bit of a tease?
Oh, it's the holiday season. Everyone's in the giving spirit. So no, I'm not going to let anybody know what the next topic is going to be. I'm going to hold it tight to my chest, and we'll talk about it next week.
Erik Pessolano, the Grinch of drafting the Magic, at least on this episode. Erik won today. 10-7 of the official scoreboard. And next week, well, it's a curveball. We don't know what's coming, but we're excited.
Yeah, can't wait. Just a few episodes left. And don't forget, you can go on social media and follow Drafting the Magic on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. It's at Drafting the Magic on both Facebook and Instagram, and on Twitter at Drafting Magic. I'll say it every time. I couldn't fit the in there. There's not enough characters allowed. Hey, let us know your thoughts. What kind of topics would you like to see? What did you think of this episode, our previous episodes? You can go to Apple Podcasts and rate and review us. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe on all the podcast platforms where you can hear us. We really do appreciate your support, and we hope that all of you have a very happy and safe holiday season.
We really do, and we'll be back next week. Erik, I don't like this losing thing. I'm going to make you the very first person to only have a 1-win streak.
Happy holidays to you too, Christian.